are exploring our first day here in Santiago. We're downtown, just a couple blocks from the hotel that we booked, and so far so good. It's a beautiful day. This is actually their summer, and it's Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you want to see more from us, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. So here right now in Chile, it is mandatory to wear a mask, wear your mask all the time. Basically anytime you're outside, even outdoors. Very different to Mexico. Mexico, they didn't really care whatsoever, except for like in shopping, maybe grocery stores, big grocery stores, and some shopping places. But here it's mandatory to wear the mask at all times, at least in that region. I should say that we were in Mexico. So just a little bit of a difference that we're experiencing now here in Chile. Okay, so time for the room tour, guys. I'm loving this colonial style room. Very cute, nicely decorated. We're just starting to move our stuff in, but I wanted to give you a quick glimpse of what the hotel is and our room is here in downtown Santiago, the capital of Chile. We have nice little desk, place for eating, air conditioning or heater. It's a little cold here. You'll have the flat screen TV. We have a big bed. And we also have a bathroom. Bathroom's pretty self-explanatory as usual. I love the size of this room, the style of the room and the hotel in general. And this, last but not least, is my favorite part, and actually what made me want to book the place, in addition to how cute the hotel is itself. Look at this. This is what we get to wake up to every morning. I literally feel like I'm back in Europe, which is my favorite continent next to Antarctica. So this makes me so happy to wake up and look out this view. And this is also where we'll be spending New Year's 2021.
Make sure to follow our social media accounts, where we'll be posting more content related to this YouTube channel.
We are exploring our first day here in Santiago. We're downtown, just a couple blocks from the hotel that we booked, and so far so good. It's a beautiful day. This is actually their summer, and it's a little fresh, not sweating or anything, not too hot. It's a big change from coming from winter in Mexico. It was very hot, and we were basically sweating every day, and it was like very hot, and then it would be raining, so very unpredictable weather. But here it looks like we're gonna have a beautiful sunny days every day, which makes me really excited. Really good for traveling, exploring, walking around. It is mandatory right now during COVID-19 coronavirus here in the end of December of 2020. In Chile, you have to wear your mask everywhere. The only exceptions if you're sitting down to eat and you're in an outdoor restaurant. So we're actually outside eating, or about to eat in a restaurant. The inside is closed. A lot of the restaurants are closed inside, so you'll see a lot of people eating, drinking outside. This is the only time you really can take off your mask. Other than that, you need to be wearing it at all times outside, even just walking around, or of course in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to wear a mask, but other than that, it is mandatory to wear a mask. Another thing I want to discuss is I'm comparing now Chile during coronavirus to Mexico, since we just spent 3 months in Mexico, traveling around, living there, and it is very, very different. I would say in Mexico, we were able to enter the country with no problems, no testing. They do give you sanitizer and check your temperature regularly, but you really didn't need to wear a mask unless you were in the airport, of course, or if you were inside of any of the big major grocery stores, or some specific stores did require you to wear a mask. But outside, outdoors, in restaurants, it was much more free and open. You didn't need to wear a mask walking around or at the beach or anything like that. Here, you do have to wear a mask a lot more. They're more strict on the corona rules, and it was a lot harder to enter the country. In Mexico, you basically could just enter the country. You didn't have to do any tests or anything like that. It's a very long process to get here in Chile. Before you arrive in Chile, you have to take a PCR test, not a rapid test, but specifically a PCR COVID test, and you have to take that test within 72 hours before you board the flight to Chile, and it has to be negative, of course. You have to upload that online and fill out an affidavit. So it's basically like an online form saying where you've been, what you've been doing in the past few months, if you've been in contact with anyone with COVID, you know, the normal questions you would ask if you've had COVID at all and recently. So we were approved, we didn't have any problems for that. And the last thing is you had to purchase an international insurance that actually covers COVID-19 health insurance if you have any problems, if you need hospitalization, if you need anything, health insurance relating to COVID, you have to have that. It's mandatory to be able to enter the country. So actually entering into Chile, we had a lot of more regulations, a lot more checks. When we arrived to the Cancun airport in Mexico, they checked those 3 things, our PCR test, our insurance, before we even boarded the flight. Of course, a lot of more intense information that they needed to check, and they checked that information twice before we even got to the check-in gate. So they actually made sure we had the negative PCR test that was issued within 72 hours, or we took it 72 hours before we boarded. As soon as we arrived in the airport in Cancun, they actually checked before we even reached the
place where we do the check-in. They check to make sure we have that negative COVID test, PCR, that was taken 72 hours before we boarded, along with the insurance showing that we have coverage for COVID-19. And then they checked again for all those things. It was very thorough when we actually get to the check-in. So we checked in, and then they check those things again when you pass through the TCA. And then they check it again when you board the flight. Then we got to Lima. We had a 5-hour flight from Cancun to Lima, Peru, where we had to change to our connection flight. We were able to enjoy a little bit of the lounges in the Cancun airport. It was really nice. We got there like 2 hours before, really enjoyed that. Had some drinks, had some wine, Christian had some beer, and we had some food, so that was good for our 5-hour flight. Then we arrived in Lima, Peru. We had a connection flight that took us 3 hours to reach Santiago, and we arrived in Santiago very early in the morning, but it was a smooth flight. Everything went really well. When we arrived in Santiago, we had to basically go through the whole process again of getting all those things checked, making sure we had the negative PCR test issued within 72 hours before we arrived, and the COVID insurance as well, covering all those health issues if something was to happen. So yeah, it was very thorough, and we went through a lot to get here, but we finally got here, and I'm really excited, and it feels really good because it's a totally new place from our 3 months in Mexico. Totally different vibe, and it's really nice. And I also love the place we're staying because the place that we're staying is very European. It reminds me to Europe, which is my favorite continent other than Antarctica. So it's really nice to open those big doors and feel like I'm in this Victorian atmosphere and I'm back in Europe, but I'm still actually not. I'm in South America, but it's really nice. The people are very kind so far. I like the Chilean people. They're very nice and friendly and very welcoming. So we're having a really good time, and we're ready to get going and explore this day after we refuel. And we have this typical empanada from Santiago Chile, Chilean style. So let's enjoy, and we'll take you along for the rest of the day. How is it?
It's really good.
So this is like a Chilean style? Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
What does that mean? What does Chilean style mean?
Deep fried.
Deep fried.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds like
also
hardcore.
the dough.
The dough, yeah. It's like a special thing?
Yeah, it's how they make it here.
Okay. Enjoy.
How?
How do they say in Spanish?
Provecho.
Provecho?
Provecho.
Provecho. Provecho. Enjoy. The other thing that I wanted to mention or make notice of is that if you want to get a PCR test or COVID test in general in Mexico, like we had to do, whether you go to Mexico and you just want to get it or you're just curious about it, or if you need it like we did for traveling, I just want to let you guys know, I was actually surprised with the way COVID tests are there, COVID testing is going, because in the US you can get a PCR test or a rapid test for free. It's very easy, it's widely available to anybody and access for anybody. In Mexico, it's a totally different story. They do not give out tests for free COVID testing. It actually costs between $50 to $150, and the problem with the $50 was the cheapest that you could get a COVID test, PCR specifically, is the problem is the 72 hours that they guaranteed. There is a small disclaimer saying that it's not really guaranteed for 72 hours, that it may take longer depending on how many labs that they need to do. It's not given by the government. It's actually a COVID test that you need to go to a specific business, a laboratory, and you have to pay them for it. So there's the high end is about $150, and that guarantees definitely in 24 hours the test. So just keep that in mind. And one thing that we've realized through our research here in Chile is that you can get a COVID test for $35. That's the going rate, and it's much more easy and accessible. So they have, I think, a little bit of a better way to process and do and make accessible these COVID tests. So I just wanted to mention that in case you were wondering. It's something interesting. $35 COVID test here in Chile, and anywhere from $50 to $150 all the way in Mexico. So those are some comparisons if you're looking or interested in doing that or coming to any of these places. I think it's good information to know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up like button down below. And thanks so much for doing that in advance. Also, if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave those down below in the comments section. If you have any suggestions for future videos that you'd like to see, leave those as well in a comment down below. I'll get to those as soon as I can. Don't forget to share this video on social media with friends.